sightings of ghosts, an abandoned insane asylum, creepy ass dolls, werewolves, and witches, honey. Do not obey, stay woke. Nobody's gonna stop me. This is real. Do not obey, stay woke. Scary as hell. What's up, guys? It's me, Do Not Obey, and let's get into this video. Now, I can tell you it's August 5th in the Appalachian Mountains, and it already feels like October season. And it got me to thinking, let me see if there's been any werewolf sightings. You know how I love cryptids. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Check out some of these TikToks of people who had werewolf encounters. Like I always say, do not obey. Stay woke. Peace.
Welcome to another creepy and true tale from the great city of New Orleans and the tale of the werewolf of City Park. Now, this was told to me by a gentleman who I would call Ike. I used to be Ike's caregiver. He was a former NOPD officer, retired after 30 years of service. So he had many tales to tell. One day, we're sitting, having some coffee, having very casual conversation, and out of the blue, he says to me, "You wouldn't believe some of the things that I've seen. Things that I can't even explain." And I asked him to share with me that I would not be surprised at all by what he said. Now, Ike was a very serious man, very kind, very pleasant, but not the type that liked to joke or tell tall tales. So when he said something, it was the gospel truth. Ike explained to me that in the very early 70s, before I was even born, there was a series of incidents that occurred at the horse stables in City Park. NOPD's mounted patrol kept their horses there. Ike said one night, him and his partner got called to the stables by one of the caretakers. Before they even entered the stable, the caretaker told them, "Prepare yourselves for what you are about to see, because it is going to put a stain on your mind that you will never be able to get rid of." Ike said he's seen a lot of things in his career, but what he saw that night will never be erased from his mind. It was guts and blood, the rear end of a horse and a pair of legs. There was a trail of blood that led out into the field next to the stables. They followed it, and there they found the other two legs, but no head. What on earth could slaughter a horse in such a manner, they all wondered. Certainly something to find reasonable explanation. Ike said that their superiors told them to just keep it to themselves, clean up the mess, and make it go away. Don't tell anybody. And that's exactly what they did. Caretaker, Ike and his partner, cleaned up. They never uttered a word. Weeks later, they get another call. This time, from a different caretaker. This time, a different horse has been slaughtered, but there was a witness. The caretaker who had called them to the scene the first time happened upon the scene when the second horse was being dragged into the field. And what he described, Ike said, was something from a nightmare, a movie, something not human. The caretaker told him he heard a ruckus in the stable, and he grabbed his gun, and when he entered, he saw a figure that was about 8 feet, human arms, but an elongated mouth with sharp, teeth. And when he entered and he saw this creature, he just froze. And the creature turned and looked at him with eyes black as Mississippi mud. Told him to go away or you will be next. And it continued dragging the top part of the horse into the field. And the caretaker said he could do nothing but back away and run to his car, screaming. Now, Ike said, I know what you're probably thinking. He was a drinker. Maybe the caretaker was high. He said, if you would have seen the look on his face, the sheer terror, the fear in his voice, then you would know that what he saw was very real.
Tagged me in a comment on TikTok and asked me to share the story about the time that I saw a werewolf. Now, I know a lot of you won't believe me, and to be quite honest with you, I don't blame you. If I wasn't as well versed and studied in this area, just like of the supernatural as I am, I probably wouldn't believe it myself. And it also helps that I had witnesses where I wouldn't believe myself. So one evening I was driving through a forested area. This was right by our house. We lived near a lake and there were a lot of trees and different things like that. So it was just really nature-y, you know. I'm driving through the dark, winding road in the forest, and all of a sudden I see a man standing on the side of the road. He looked like he wanted to cross the street, so I slowed down, you know, so I don't accidentally hit him. All of a sudden, a deer darts past him and runs across the street. But something about the deer wasn't quite right. So I looked closer and realized I can see through this deer. Like literally see through it. It's transparent, like it's not solid at all. So at this time, I'm like, okay, I really need to stop and let this man safely cross the street because I don't know what's going on. So the man begins to cross and he gets halfway across the street, you know, just walking like a normal man does. He gets halfway across the street and suddenly he's not walking on two legs anymore. Right in front of us, he turns into a wolf and starts walking on all fours. So this wolf man and the spirit deer get to the other side of the road and just disappear. I'm sitting behind the steering wheel with my mouth just hanging open because I'm trying to process what just happened. Then suddenly my friend just kind of snaps me out of it by yelling, "Don't just sit there, drive." So I started driving and pulled into our parking lot. And at this point, I'm still wondering, am I the only one that saw this? Did it really happen? Next thing I know, everyone in the car just starts bursting out into conversation and comparing stories on what we just saw. You know, just to make sure we're consistent and all know that we saw the same thing. Turns out we all did see the same thing. This is a real thing and people get involved in it in different ways, but it's all tied to the occult. Some people use things such as spirit guides or spirit animals. People think spirit animals are very innocent, but sometimes the person actually takes on the form of the animal that they've been channeling, and they develop abilities like this. This is also actually very popular, but not so spoken about when it comes to Native American culture. They even have something similar called skinwalkers. The skinwalkers have such a bad reputation, people are actually afraid to say the name of it because they don't want to get it, like draw its attention, so it comes.
July 9th, 2002, marked the day 4 friends set out on a spontaneous adventure to Mount Pisgah in Eugene, Oregon. Joey, Rob, and their girlfriends, Mary and Kathy, eagerly embraced the idea of a day in the outdoors. They parked their car and embarked on a trail to the river, where the sun-kissed day unfolded with teenage laughter, swimming, and carefree moments. Walking back along the worn dirt path to the parking lot, the tranquility of the day was disrupted when Kathy, gazing across the valley, spotted an unusually large dog about 70 yards away. They brushed it off. Their journey back required crossing an old bridge. They strolled across until Mary's sudden scream shattered the air. The large dog they had seen was now standing upright, resembling a human figure. With astonishing speed, it sprinted across the field, reaching a mere 10 feet behind them at the bridge. As they rushed towards their car, Rob, overwhelmed by nerves, fumbled with the keys at the ignition. The creature, a strange blend of canine and humanoid features, stood at the edge of the parking lot. Finally, with the engine roaring to life, they sped away, leaving behind the eerie encounter. To this day, they share a conviction that what they witnessed was no ordinary creature but a werewolf, an unspoken bond forged in the crucible of that surreal evening.
Got my pistol, my hand's shaking, and I got this thing pointed out in the back. And I see Gene's got the shotgun on his side pointed out towards the back, and we watch as the garage door slowly closes. I'm waiting to see this thing's feet just show up and rip the door off. And the spot between where the door closes and the concrete's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't see it yet, And we sit there, finally closes all the way. Now I'm thinking, I've got to get inside, my family's inside. So we shut the buggy off, I open the door, I look outside, I don't see it, I don't hear it. So we get going back in, and I get inside, and I'm looking at Gene, we're not saying anything at first. And I popped the door open, and I said, hey, we're back. And I didn't know what else to say. I didn't want to say anything running inside the house like a crazed lunatic trying to explain that we were just attacked by a werewolf. That my wife's going to tell me to stop drinking. You're an idiot. I wasn't able to even explain anything, and nor did I want to, because I'm going to put the fear in my family. 2 girls in the house? No, I can't do that. But I did want to check to see where they were. And they were in the living room. And I said, can you go upstairs for a minute? I want to come up and talk to you. Grab Gianna and go up there. I have something that I want to discuss with you, but I want you to go up there real quick. Gene and I will be up in a minute. And I close the door, and I come back out into the woodroom, and I'm sitting back there, and I look at Gene, and I said, dude, what the was that thing? And he said, Brandon, I don't know. That's not supposed to be real. I said, that was a werewolf. And he said, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And he's the one that had said it looked like the werewolf from Van Helsing. And that's when it clicked in my head. And immediately I was like, yeah, you're right. It did. That's the only thing that I could compare it to that I've ever seen. And it's only been in a movie. So how is this thing over here? I've never seen this thing before. I've been in the woods since I've been old enough to squeeze the trigger. I've never seen anything like this. Now my heartbeat's slowing down. I'm kind of gaining some type of sanity back. Trying to think about what this thing could have been, and nothing other than, a stereotypical werewolf from a movie. So now I'm in fear that this thing's going to come into my house because it's got my scent. It's pissed. Gene blew its whole right pectoral muscle clean off its body. It's bleeding. It's mad. I don't know what's supposed to happen next. I'm trying to think, did we piss it off? I do remember, I'm trying to think if we pissed it off originally from coming in and all the deer running out, I took its food away or something. I would imagine that it eats deer. I love venison. Why wouldn't something else? Let's be real here. I couldn't believe what I had just seen, and I didn't really know what else to say to Gene. All I said was, please don't say anything, after we had discussed what had happened in details of the thing, so we could both kind of recap on what it was that we saw. I kind of said, please don't say anything to Carissa. Please don't say anything yet until we can figure out what's going on here. And I said, I'm going to go inside. And he said, I need to get back to my house right now. And I said, okay, I understand. Please give me a call when you get home. We only talked for about 15 minutes, and just going over what we had seen. And
believe what I'm about to tell you, but I promise it's true. This happened like 15 years ago. I know it's going to sound like BS, but I saw a werewolf. I know, it sounds like I'm making it up. But if I didn't see it myself, I wouldn't believe it either. But let me tell you what happened. So I'm driving home. I got the kids in the car with me, and I'm in a van. Ugh, I know, that sounds like the scary part, but it's not. But I'm in a van, and I drive past this one part of the road that has like this cliff thing on the right side. And out of nowhere, something jumps off that cliff that I've been told is like 20 feet high. I cannot judge height, but I've been told it was 20 feet high, and lands like this. The classic superhero pose, which, by the way, is also how squirrels land. See, squirrels land like that too. So he landed like a squirrel, but he was huge. So he lands right in the middle of the road, turns, looks at me, stands up, then runs. And he looked like this. Just kidding. He really looked like this. Now, this is somebody's like fan art, not a real picture, duh. But this is the most accurate that I could find that actually looks like the one I saw. So I immediately call my mom and dad. My dad answers. I tell him I'm like frantic. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just saw like a werewolf. It jumped off the cliff thing. It was like 2 vans tall. I still stand by that. That's how tall it was. So I don't know. I don't know how tall. Like 12 feet or something. It was huge. Huge. So my dad says it was probably a barn owl. They're pretty big. A what? It was not a damn barn owl. Oh my God. This thing scared me to death. Terrified me. Well, I tell the story. Everybody's like, haha, yeah, whatever. So then I don't ever tell anybody again. But in Kentucky, not far from here, Kentucky Lake is known for having werewolves, right? Well, who cares about that? Because I had someone send me a Ring camera photo of what looks like what I saw. This footage was taken on like Native American land. They said they didn't want their name put out there. I don't blame them, because I know all of y'all are going to think I'm crazy because I say I saw a werewolf. But here, let me show you this. Oh, there it is. There's its face. This is like, what, like an F-150 or some kind of big truck. But look, you stack it on top. 2 vans. This thing would be 2 vans tall. Look at its face. Do you see the wolf right here? Call me crazy. I don't care. That's what I saw.
The Ontario Campfire Werewolf. This werewolf encounter took place in 2014 near Chapleau, Ontario, Canada, a remote forested region popular with serious wilderness campers. The witnesses allege that they were attacked by the terrifying beast. 2 longtime friends, using pseudonyms Rick and Mike, were on a multi-day camping and fishing trip in a remote part of the forest. They had driven in with a 4x4, set up camp deep in the woods, and planned to stay 3 nights. They were experienced outdoorsmen, comfortable with bears, wolves, and all kinds of Canadian wildlife. But what they encountered on the second night was something they had never seen before, and never wanted to again. It began with strange sounds in the trees after sundown. They described them as heavier than a deer or a wolf, slow and deliberate, pacing. The men thought it might be a bear and kept their rifles close. But the sounds circled them, never fully approaching, for over an hour. They eventually went to bed in their tent, though neither slept well. At around 2:30 a.m., something slammed into the side of the tent, hard enough to partially collapse it. Rick scrambled out first, flashlight in one hand, rifle in the other. That's when he saw it. Standing on 2 legs at the edge of the clearing was a massive, upright figure covered in dark, matted hair. It had a canine-shaped head, long arms ending in clawed hands, and eyes that reflected red in the beam of the flashlight. Mike shouted and emerged behind him, just in time to see the creature charge forward on 2 legs. Rick fired a warning shot into the air. The beast stopped, but didn't run. It let out what both men described as a low, guttural growl that vibrated in their chests, then circled the camp again, disappearing into the trees. But it wasn't over. Within minutes they heard snapping branches and rustling from multiple directions. There was more than one. Rick claimed he saw a second, slightly smaller creature in the treeline to the left. Then came the attack. One of the creatures charged out of the woods, knocking Rick back and slashing his shoulder open with a clawed hand. Mike fired twice, possibly hitting it. It let out a shriek and vanished. In the chaos, they jumped in their truck, bleeding and panicked, and sped off into the dark, not even packing their gear. Rick required over 20 stitches in his shoulder. He told the ER staff it was a bear attack. But privately, both men say they're certain it wasn't a bear, wolf, or any known animal. Rick described the creature as at least 7 feet tall, muscular and intelligent, the way it moved, watched them, and coordinated with the second creature. They reported the event to Ontario Park Rangers under the pretense of a bear incident, but no signs of a bear were found at the site. The story emerged after one of the men contacted a Canadian cryptid investigator in 2016. The details were later shared in interviews and conferences.
2018, Orlando, Florida. In Kissimmee, an older woman was walking her dog on a small trail by her house that led through some swamp. She noticed up ahead in the trail this large canine figure crouched down the same way a person would be. She couldn't figure out what she was seeing until this thing stands up, fully erect like a human. Terrified, she runs away. Described it as looking just like a typical Hollywood werewolf, the same kind you'd see in a movie. Was this just a person in a costume?
This mysterious creature was captured on a trail cam. At first, it looks a lot like a wolf, but looking more closely, the front legs appear to have elongated fingers, unlike any species of dog or wolf. The face, in particular, the nose and teeth of the creature appear almost human-like. Could this be a rare sighting of the mythological creature known as a werewolf? A werewolf is an individual who can shape-shift into a wolf, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or a bite from another werewolf, with the transformation occurring on the night of a full moon.
By the name of Robert Wood saw a werewolf. I'm not even gonna waste y'all time. Let's just get right into it.
Man, Joe, I don't know. Look, I just got the living shit scared out of me. My dog, I couldn't get him to come in here. I don't know. Y'all take a look at it. I was good until it started making a growling sound. Dude, I rolled. I don't know what the hell it was and don't care what it was. I'm not going back out there. I'm not playing on this one. I'm tripping. Ollie, what are you barking at? That dog was barking hard. See nothing. Man, it's a full moon tonight, y'all. Full moon tonight. I don't know what the hell he's barking at. I have no idea. What the hell is he barking at? What the hell is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? What the fuck is that, y'all? What the fuck is that?
So chat, what do you guys think that was?
And when I seen the head, I was like, just a calm voice in my head said, I'm looking at an effing werewolf. Okay, that's what this is. But it was so calm in my head. And that's when they started hollering and screaming. What the F is that? Man, what the F? What the freak is that, dude? Look at that. Look at that monster. Look at it. Now,
It didn't try to come for you?
no, she just crept forward and was looking, and I'm looking at it, but I'm looking at them claws and just following it up the arm, and then I get to the head, and then that other hand came forward, and she brought just like the first quarter, maybe half of her body into the light,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, I'm standing there looking, and I just peed on myself.
I would have too.
I mean, it it was so much bigger than me, wider. That head had to be, with the rough on the side, I'm gonna say her head had to be 20, 24 inches.